Hi, crafty friends. I'm Tina, the creative guru with Gems, Paper, Scissors, and today I am continuing our 52 weeks of layouts for my scrapbook and showing up with you. I'm making some changes to today's layout, and we will go over them as I approach. So yesterday we did the left-hand page for layout number 1. Today we are doing the right-hand page also for layout 1. Tomorrow I will be back to show you how I add such fun things like flip-flops to increase the capacity of my layout for things like photos, journaling, and more. So one thing I am doing is I am changing this out from a journal piece to include a photo. Adding this photo and this journaling, I'm actually going to mat this to create a little bit more bumper. And we are going to go ahead and walk you through this. So without further ado, I'm going to scooch my photos and my stuff off to the side so that we can go ahead and get making. So the assembly directions start off with saying use the exclusive crumb cake paper, and you can tell it's exclusive because even though it's a designer series paper, the backside is plain white instead of patterned like our traditional designer series paper. Then it says to adhere 1 H, I, and J. And when I cut, I mark with a pencil, or at least I try to remember. Sometimes, I get cutting and I forget, but I labeled all of these when I was pre-cutting, and it will make my creative time smoother and faster in the long run. Yesterday I measured this off, and today I'm just eyeballing it. So be prepared to ride my roller coaster. Next is I. That one's J, and this one's I. And this is supposed to line up more or less with the pieces on the left-hand page. So instead of measuring, I'm going to line this up with my eyeball. I am using my Stampin' Seal Plus tape runner. Yesterday I had to refill it, so you got to enjoy that process. So here I am just lining up yesterday's work with today's. So when they are in their page protectors, they will have a visual cohesiveness, and that will make the 2-page layout a little bit nicer. I think this will look better. There we go. Okay. So I'm now done with yesterday's layout for right now for design purposes. Now it says to adhere prepared K and L. I did not actually prepare K and L. I know that this is where the mats and photos come in. So K and L. So I am going to ultimately have 3 photos here, and on the top I'm going to want this. Let me grab one of my flip-flops to show you what I am doing. One of the things that happened last year's March, year before, anyways, when Close to My Heart closed and many of us chose to slide over with an incredible sign up option with Stampin' Up. Stampin' Up purchased the flip flaps, the rights and the design factors, and that made a lot of us super happy. I have not used up my entire stash of close to my heart size, but Stampin' Up does carry the 3x3 flip flaps, so you can still do this. A flip flap is a pocket. Okay, it's just a pocket that folds over so that it can flip. Okay, and on the back of this little piece, I can peel up the white piece and it becomes transparent with adhesive. So I know that for this particular layout, I'm going to have it, the left-hand one flipping up and the bottom one flipping down. So I'm going to go ahead and start layering in my photos. And I layer it in so that I know that when it goes in, they're all facing the direction I want. So there's the first one. Then when it flips up, it will see this photo. One cool thing about flip-flops is you can layer them. I can attach it to my page protector. I can attach it to each other. So I could have so many of these expanding my layout. So I now know here's the bottom one. And it's going to be like this and up. And here's that photo. Okay. So now I've got the order of my photos in the way I want them to be viewed. It just expands our storytelling visual ability. Isn't that cool? Now I have the choice where I could cut through my page protector and tuck this in through the page protector and behind my mat, at which point you won't see that sticker piece. And I'll make that decision tomorrow because based off of this layout, there's nothing up here. So if I want to, I can cut behind and still tuck it. But because I don't know what route I'm ultimately going to take, I'm going to pretend that I'm layering that in as I put my adhesive down, because I don't want to take that option away from myself. So I'm making sure at the top of this photo mat, I can, if I choose, tuck it behind. Okay. This says 7/8 of an inch. So there's 7/8 of an inch. So I know it's going to be right about here. I'm not pushing it down yet because I want to make sure it's going to look nice with my left-hand page for spacing. I will tell you, there are times that having a very small desk becomes challenging. So there we go. Now we're going to do the same with the next photo. And that's going to go here. Grab another flip flap. Now I could keep this with just having 2 photos going across, but I had more photos that I really wanted to use. Out of my 17, I got it down to 10 photos. That's really not that bad. I know some that really, okay, so this time I want it to flip down. So I turned it and now I am layering in my photos. That's going to go down. So that needs to face up. There we go. Slide that all the way in. Carrying that up as nice as I can. So that'll be like that. And then that. And then this will go on the mat below. Just like so. Oops, normally I use my glue dots to attach this. I grabbed my go-to and it'll be fine. Okay. Now, let's go on ahead and get this spaced about 1/4 of an inch. And get this lined up. And again, I don't know if I am going to tuck it behind. So let's go ahead and tuck it behind now in preparation before I put my adhesive down. Okay. If I don't tuck it through the page protector, this is still very secure. And that's really my goal, right? There we go. That looks nice. So when it's in my page protector, we're going with this for the look, right? So I'll be flipping my pages, looking at the pretty pictures. Oh, isn't this wonderful? And I just increased my photo capacity. Super cool, super awesome. I love these options. Truly, truly, truly I do. Okay, so now we're to this one. And in the layout, it says to just put down this in line with the top for journaling. I'm not doing that. I am adding a photo. But my photo, even when fully cut out, doesn't cover enough to give my bumper. So I cut an extra mat, just adding 1/4 of an inch around my photo. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and attach that down using my glue dots the way I prefer. And then because this is going to have a little bit of extra oomph, I'm going to put one in the middle. It's also a slightly larger photo. So how we make this so that my photo is in place and this can slide behind is by, I'm going to slide that out of the way a little, is by adding, I'm like going to let it go up to that high, a little bit of dimensionals. And I'm going to use the minis just because they're what's on my desk right now. And you can determine what's going to fit your project the best. So I'm adding this as a bumper. And it's also raising this up to give a little bit of space between the layout and, I could try that more, the layout and the base page, right? So that my journaling card behind it that's tucked in private is able to move freely. And now I'm just going to add a little bit to each side. If I need to trim it further, I can. Like, I think this is going to be too wide because, well, that'll be fine. Maybe. I don't know. Let's feel this out. And make sure that this is pressed down pretty good. Yeah, see that overshoots just a little, so I'm going to trim it up. And you go through and raise it all the way around. It can be a little time consuming as you fine tune it and give it the border of raised up support that you are after. Okay. Sometimes if you're using the minis, I find using the take your pick tool or tweezers to be easier. Or if you happen to have any of the close to my heart tape runners, 3D foam tape on hand, those are also really fast, but I think I've used my stash out. It's been long enough. Sad end of an era. There we go. But you see how I'm just adding this little padded space around for this journaling card to slide in and out of. Okay, that's all I am doing. 2 more, maybe 3. Just like, yeah, I want one on the corner too. There. Okay, so these are in place. And now we're going to get this laid in where we want it. And I'm going to wait to put that down once I get these little tabby pieces in. So I know that this is going to tuck in right here. Okay. And I'm going to want my tip to line up evenly with the other points of these tabs. It's just going to create a little visual continuity, and then I will line up or lay down a flat piece to go with this tip. So I will lay that down once I have these down. I know that in the layout, it lined up with the top, but I'd rather lay down with the bottom. And that's just, again, a personal preference. If you are making adjustments to a layout, go with what feels best for you and what makes you visually happy with this, okay? Nobody else can dictate that other than the crafter, right? So just like that. Okay, I'm going to peel up my adhesive and get this prepped to line up at the bottom. If you could only see my desk right now, you'd be like, oh man, Tina, your desk is a hot mess. And you'd be right. Because I have a very small space, and so a lot of times I just drop things on top of each other, which is what I have to do. You know, I try and keep it tidy. I have a waste receptacle that, in my case, because this is paper crafting space, is all about paper recycling at my ankle. I don't have a lot of room to move around. not a lot of space to put things, but it is worth it for me. Okay, so I've lined these up enough. I'm not after the spacing side to side. I am after the spacing for the tips, for the arrows. So now we're going to, there we go. And that pulls the eye. When it's in the page protector, this will stick out. I'm going to trim it so this slides in and out like so. Beautiful. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. And that is how you can make an adjustment like this. Now, what does it say? I've done my K and L. I've attached the Green Garden banner pre-cut pieces. I've attached the journaling pre-cut piece as well as an additional photo. Now it says to attach the shorter balmy blue pre-cut piece over the journaling pre-cut, which I am not doing because remember, this is now a pull-out. So I have to adjust all of this, right? So this is where our creativity is going to kick in. I am going to tuck it behind the pre-cut piece like this. It will really make that part pop. And then just like so. And then it says adhere the prepared mountain border sticker and the prepared argyle sticker. So now we're going to do the longer mountain sticker. And this goes all the way to the edge and past the bottom of that balmy blue. And then just like the balmy blue and the argyle, creating this layered visual effect. Now it just says embellish with pre-cut pieces and stickers as shown. So we know that the dark blue mountains kind of layer up. Like so. And then these balmy blue mountains will go something like this, but I'm going to add some dimensionals here. A little strip of it. I use my borders. I do not waste adhesive if I can help it. Okay, and that should keep it pretty secure and safe. Like so. And then scenic route is going right here. So I'm going to add another batch of dimensionals right here. And off to the side a little. Remove the backing. Let's move that one down here too. Okay. Just like that. And we're going to layer this on before I press down. There we go. And you see how this already looks like it's ready to pop off the page. Now let's go ahead and start layering on. That's all my pre-cuts. Now we're going to start layering on our stickers. I know that this I've marked is down here, and we're going to put that where it's resting on the top of that E with just a microbe of space. And this is kind of wanting to tap down. I'm going to bumper it. I'm not going to take the back off of that mini dimensional, but it's going to give a little tap out space. So that finishes this bundle. I know over here we have for the record. We're going to visually eyeball that. In the example, it put it over the lines. I like it a little bit further down. It just makes me a little happier. I feel like getting over the lines is going to make this too busy with my flip-flaps, so I brought it down. Dealer's choice. There's nothing in this quadrant, so now it's just focusing right here, like so. At the top, I have this little tab, and I can still keep that even though it has it on the journaling card. I'm going to tuck it just a little bit behind, and then it says it has some journaling. So I'm not writing out all of my journaling, but I can title this. So this would be, since this is first hike, this would be January 1, 2026, like that. And I could have gone and typed that up and made a sticker and applied that, but one gift that we give to our future generations is our writing. And so I'm going to leave that handwritten. Next is Unstoppable and Enjoy the Ride. So here's Unstoppable and Enjoy the Ride. And these two will finish out this layout. But I do not have that journaling space, right? But this photo does work well. I'm going to eyeball this. How far over do I want it? I'm going to line it up right there with just a little tiny bottom framing. And then this can overhang just a wee bit. It's not going to block anything visually. And I'm going to sneak in a mini dimensional to the back side, just like so. And again, I'm not removing the backing. So this can lift. It's not secured down, but it is secured to my layout. And that completes today's right-hand side of the layout. Tomorrow, join me back for the next live at 5 as I add this into my page protectors. I decide whether or not I am going to tuck these or just pop them onto the front of my page protector and put in my first double page layout in my 2026 album as we work through our 52 weeks for 2026. Bye for now, and until next time, keep on crafting and find your